Hey everybody, welcome back to Roosters on Olentangy River Road in beautiful Columbus, Ohio. The weather is just perfect.
It's sunny outside.
Sun is out.
Beautiful winter day.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. By looking outside, there's some flowers. There's green appearing on the trees, and it is sunny. So without feeling like what the temperature looks like, if you looked outside, it probably looks like 60 degrees. Like, not bad.
Yeah. Liberty asked me this morning, she's getting ready for
school. Do I have to wear a coat?
If the sun was out, I'd feel a little bit more better. It did go under here in the last hour.
She said, Daddy, is it hot? I said, yeah, it's going to be a beautiful day.
Dad said, I wear shorts every day.
And, yeah, Mom overruled that. So she's got a sweatshirt on, but whatever. And we're back for the podcast. It is NFL draft week.
We had a great spring game Saturday. That's all you need to worry about.
We put it all in that basket, and we have to pay the price a week later. That's fine. I'm willing to.
Yes.
That's Bobby Carpenter, Justin Zwick, Bill Landis over here. Nicole Cox is out sick. Hope that she gets better soon. She still hasn't given us her spring game breakdown.
We've been missing her.
She just parties all the time. And then she got the flu. It's like from where? Nashville or wherever?
The Morgan Wallen flu.
100%. Concerts and trips and all kinds.
It's good to be Nicole, no doubt.
Yeah, gallivanting around the country.
So, anyway, I thought it was great weather on Sunday. Perfect for mowing the lawn, Bob. When you get
is it the first one of the year?
60? No, it was the second one.
Yeah, second one.
Like
it's my third. I've got to mow it again. I mean, I had to double cut it because I mowed it on Friday to Friday. I thought I could get a whole week, and it's sun and rain.
I'd rather do that than when it's 90. Like, give me the
yeah. I mean, I mowed it on Friday, and it wasn't bad. I mean, I could handle it. Or maybe Friday. I don't know. I trimmed. No, I mowed it Saturday. I trimmed on Friday. I didn't have enough time, so I had a lot of stuff going on.
Bill, how was your weekend?
It was great. I went to
tell Jay-Z where you were.
Beautiful Massillon, Ohio.
Hey,
the nice indoor facility. Nice indoor facility they got
beautiful,
up there
isn't it?
For the Elite 11 regional.
Yeah, I thought you might have been doing a feature piece on Jaden Ballard getting back to the streets.
Yes. Yeah, I wanted to ask him about the poster review that he has in his apartment.
There you go.
What did you make of the Massillon
facility?
That?
Have you ever been there before?
I mean, my first time at the indoor field. Okay. I'd been to the stadium a couple times. Yeah,
the Justin Zwick indoor facility.
Yes.
Yeah, it was,
my plaque's in there somewhere. I think the bathroom, in one of the stalls.
Yeah,
it was cool. I said this on the podcast on Monday morning. Like, there's too many kids there, which makes me maybe sound a little bit mean, but like they could have gotten a lot more done if they trimmed that group. But
how many were there?
Yeah. I want to say like 50, like between 40 and 50, and it probably could have been half that.
So it's not such an elite 11.
Yeah, well,
it's the elite 50.
The top of the top was quite good, but they could have culled the herd a little bit.
Where's that pulling from? It's a regional deal, right?
It's mostly regional. Most of the kids were from like Ohio, Michigan, Indiana. There was an Oklahoma kid there, Florida kid, Pennsylvania kid. Like they have
only. I figured there'd be like. Is there one in Pittsburgh? That's got to be.
I was going to say Pennsylvania.
No, so this is it's fun. It's in State College this year. I don't know how James Franklin pulled that one off.
That's the worst logistics.
All right, yeah.
It's in the center of PA, so we got to pull from everywhere or nowhere because
nobody wants to come into that.
That's terrible.
No hotel rooms available for you either. So
although Massillon is a thriving metropolis.
Yeah, but it's right off the it's at least right off the highway.
Yeah. You're right. It is right there.
There's an interstate that goes by it, not a coal road.
But that is the only other one kind of in the region. Yeah, just here. I don't know. They're kind of too close, I think.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, those
make sense.
That is the East Coast regional.
That's State College, oh my gosh. I mean, that's terrible. Gosh, if I was in like the Baltimore, New York, New Jersey, and that's what you're giving me to go to.
Yeah. No, there's nowhere in Philly that they could do it either.
No,
not enough options around there.
Clearly not.
State College.
Interesting.
So good players. I mean, we got.
Yeah, I mean, what do we have going on up there?
Yeah, so like the top three guys in
Ohio.
So
is it just the junior, like rising seniors?
No, so only the rising seniors can compete to get invited to the finals. But there were 25 and 26 guys there. RJ Day was there. Who's going to be a freshman.
Is that the kid that's really tall? And
that's Ryan Day's son.
I was going to say, is that Ryan Day's son? Because I saw a clip, and I'm like, is that?
No, never mind. Forget RJ. Yeah, he said that really quickly, and I didn't. There's a kid that's a freshman, maybe, or going to be a sophomore.
Ashland, yeah.
Yes,
he was
Ashland.
There.
That's what I'm talking
about. Nathan Bernard, he was there.
Is he going to be a sophomore, right?
He will be a sophomore this fall.
Dude, he's like 6'4", 6'5", like 225 already.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Big kid, yeah. Runs track, plays basketball. Like
Ashland Arrows. Huh?
Sorry, that's when you saw that. That's I was focusing to get to that question, not skipping over RJ.
Well, RJ being there allowed Ryan Day to be there. So then,
of course.
Ryan could then watch
parental privilege
and watch Ryan Montgomery from Findlay and Tavian St. Clair.
So the Ryan Montgomery, I was just reading up on this. I mean,
he's going to be a senior, right?
Yes.
He'll be junior.
Junior.
Oh, he's only going to be junior.
Is he committed to Michigan?
Not committed. No.
Okay. There's Ty. I mean, is that how good is he, Bill?
I think he's pretty good.
They both look at young dudes. So
yeah. I took over for Byrne.
Did you send him pictures?
No, I did not.
He was taking pictures somewhere of some young dudes. I mean, it may not have been a football camp, but he was.
Byrne was doing that in Cincinnati at the Rivals camp. Yeah, we can get to that. He got plenty of young dudes pictures. Yeah,
he sure did. Ryan's pretty good. Like it's hard, right? Because the bar is so high at Ohio State. It's like, is he as good as CJ Stroud? Like, not yet. Can he get there potentially? Like, he's no doubt about it. Like a Power 5 starting quarterback. I don't know if we'll reach like 5-star status, but I think he'll get pretty close to it.
Okay. I mean, top tier. I mean,
is Michigan his biggest? I mean, have we offered him?
Ohio State's offered him. Michigan State. I think like Clemson and Georgia are fairly threatening at the moment. It sounds like Clemson does it weird. Like Clemson has not offered a 2025 quarterback yet. They like offer one kid at a time. And then really focus on that player. So they've offered nobody in that class, but like if he ends up being the first one they offer, I think it's probably something to pay attention to.
First right of refusal.
Yeah. That's an interesting way to go about recruiting, don't you think?
I mean,
Clemson does a lot of things.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, all these guys have offers, and I always ask that because I heard the term, 5 years ago for the first time, committable offer, which I said I don't know what that. If an offer isn't committable, then what is it?
Yes.
Because you're not offering me anything if I can't take it.
If I can't commit to it, yeah.
It's like if I ask you to go.
What does this mean?
If I ask you to go to dinner tonight, and you're like, "Yeah, we're in," like, but hold on, I got like 3 other people lined up first.
Gotta wait and see.
I'll get back to you on that.
I'm not sure.
Give
if
me
I'm
a couple months.
I might not be there.
So I mean, I heard the term committable. I'm like, so what is an offer? We really like you. It's an offer to like maybe hang out later, but not for sure. Netflix and chill. I'm not asking you to get married.
No. JC, was Elite 11 big for you? Was it around then?
That was like
that was one of the first. Yeah, it was one of the first.
Because that's when the internet
years.
happened. Okay, so you can't have those things without the internet because people have to be able to access them somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was
made
early.
the internet, and then JC went to the Elite 11.
My senior year. Yeah, I mean, I didn't do. I don't think they had these regional camps that they have now. Actually, no, they did. They had, I think it was like a Nike camp or something that they would pick.
I don't know if they had the Spark camp
because that's how Troy got into it because he did something in Cleveland.
Okay,
maybe the Spark camp.
Yeah, it may have been that.
I think so.
And so they did.
That was super early then too. I know they had the senior camps, which those were like invite only, but they weren't allowed to be invite only. So I think most of the invitations got lost in the mail for most guys.
Yeah, just don't know when to show.
That's like when AJ got offered at Ohio State.
Non-committable offer to the Spark camp.
Like because you couldn't technically restrict people from going to a school camp, so they would just selectively send them and hope that and people didn't realize that until later that, hey, if I just call up and say I want to go and pay the money, they can't say no to me.
They have to let me in. But no, the Elite 11 it was a really cool experience. Out in California, they still do it out in San Diego, is that? Where the main camp is.
It was in LA last year.
It was in LA. So they moved it around.
So you flew all the way out there to do that?
We flew out to, we went out to San Diego and, we were at one spot.
Did you see Ron?
No.
Ron Burgundy?
Burgundy? No, wasn't there? They didn't cover it?
He wasn't there yet. I think he was working his way up at a news station down the road. He hadn't taken over anchor.
Packer on sports?
Yeah. Whammy. Yeah, whammy. But it was a cool experience. It's blown up since then, but gosh, I'm trying to think of the quarterback's name. We went to his house.
He lived in California?
Yeah, he lived in Cali.
Not Leinert?
No, he was an older guy. He had something to do. I can't remember. But was
he a coach or a player?
No, he was a player. He was older at that point in time.
So this wasn't even your
his
senior
dad
year.
may have been like a quarterback coach out that way on the West Coast. And
Todd Marinovich.
I was about ready to go there.
No, it was.
Firm has an idea for you,
Steve Clarkson?
No.
Kelly?
Let's keep guessing.
It's her birthday.
Yeah, I know.
Kelly.
This is good content.
Hey, Kelly Clarkson, she turned 41 today, so it's a big day.
Is that
Clarkson,
right?
Yeah.
Kelly Clarkson. I've never been a fan.
No.
Great musician.
Yeah,
she's
incredibly talented vocalist.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay.
I don't know if we can say musician.
Yeah,
have you ever seen her play an instrument?
No. Vocalist.
She strummed the guitar?
I mean, she probably
her mouth is her instrument, Austin.
That's true. And good for her. The first American Idol and probably the best.
Carrie. She was the first.
Carrie Underwood was the best.
Carrie is the biggest star. Kelly's right there, but outside of that,
Fantasia is coming to a school in Ohio. Was she on that show? I feel like I remember her being on that show.
Unless you're gonna have the Silver Fox,
was she a singer?
Taylor, whatever his name is, who was from Green Bay.
That guy was.
He was so awesome. AJ said they used to do they do intros of him at the Packers games, like after he won, and then like 3 years later, he was like still lobbying for them to put him on Joe. Like, no, dude.
No, couldn't do it.
You gotta actually like put something out here.
He's no Clay Aiken. Agree on that.
That is true.
Okay. A winding conversation. So recruits, then we're going to completely skip over the current roster and go right to the NFL draft.
Love it.
Bob,
how absolutely stupid is the S2 cognitive test?
So I've never taken the S2 cognitive test. I looked up and I was trying. So we were talking about this on the show this morning. I was trying to find a way because I don't like to judge these tests unless I've actually taken them myself.
Sure.
And if I score poorly, then it's a dumb test. You have to know that.
That's what CJ's saying right now. It's a stupid test.
Because you go like to the Wonderlic. I think this is probably a better test for processing. It's probably a better test for sports in general. From what I understand is where they flash the information and bits up and different things, and you then have to be able to process and make quick, kind of like Snappy J's.
Snappy J's, yeah.
You know, it's basically Snappy J's.
That's what we modeled
for quarterbacks.
Modeled the whole show after.
Yeah, so you get these quick processing things more than the Wonderlic, which is more kind of quantitative and analytical. Like I was always good at math and reasoning, so I was good at the Wonderlic. Does that make you a good football player? Probably not at all. I mean, it's more of an intelligence or IQ test, I guess, and there's some time constraints around that. But this is like, it's always say like there's people that are smart and then being able to like bam, see it and know it and go. You've got to be able, and there's guys who I know that are quarterback, all kinds of players. They can't tell you why they do things. It's like I see it and I know this is happening. So this I think gives you a little more of a look into that. Unfortunately though, like they've got this market cornered. I'm not going to promote this stupid S2 test because you can't like go online and take it. You have to take it on like a gaming system or a gaming computer, but you just couldn't download it for Xbox One or whatever one of these machine games are. You have to like go there to one of their testing sites, or they have a mobile testing site that they'll come there and do it. So I'm like, I'm not paying for that. I was like, if you want to tell me it's $50 for me to go on and take this thing and see if I can beat CJ Stroud and be a top 10 pick. But I will say this: there's an article in SI about it. And it talks.
This is a pretty important article about it.
It is, because this is where it talks about. He's like, the guy's like, hey,
take this with a grain of salt.
Take it with a grain of salt because it's one component of many. And so there's guys. It's like, hey, he's 6'1" as opposed to 6'5", or he's this versus that, or all these things. It's like use it as a delineating factor, maybe between two guys who you view as ultra similar. Use that, not saying, hey, this guy got the highest score in the S2. Forget the fact that he's 5'10" and doesn't have any arms. He's a dolphin. It's a dolphin, actually.
Yeah, it's actually
has no ability to throw the football. But
incredibly
I like this
sharp mammal.
Yes. But that's like what he's using is like use it as a comparison tool. I really like these two guys. We'll pull in another data point and try to use it. And they start talking about Joe Burrow had a 97, and what's his name out in San Francisco, the young dude,
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy had in the 90s, and they mentioned all these guys who have good scores. I'm like, okay, so there's two things with that. You have your alpha error and your beta error, type 1, type 2. It's like, tell me the guys who did well on them who aren't good quarterbacks, because that's the thing he's pointing out. Like, don't use this as saying, hey, because you have to be able to throw the football, and like there's a lot of other things that go into it. Guys that do well in this that aren't good quarterbacks, or I want to hear guys like the Dan Marino phenomenon, who whatever he got like a 7 on the Wonderlic.
He spelled his name wrong, I think.
Yes, but ultimately he's a Hall of Famer and one of the best. So the guys who can't do well on this, but then also are good quarterbacks by any statistical measure you would use. Because I don't know if we have enough data on this. And everybody just cherry picks. Oh, Joe Burrow did this. Brock Purdy, look at him. And we're supposed to show like 5 guys. Well, how about the other 30, 27-ish starters in the NFL are good players? Where do they come down on this stuff?
Yeah, how did Brock Osweiler do on it?
The Brockweiler.
The reason that we brought it up again, like, there's 2 parts of this that the S2 cognitive founder or whatever brought up with a grain of salt, which is that these scores that are being leaked may not even be accurate.
Oh. That's the other thing. I thought it wasn't even accurate.
Well, there's no way to, because the teams aren't supposed to release them, so there's no way you can go and, hey, well, what did he really get? Release the fine. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess CJ could maybe go out and request the release. I don't know how that works, but
could he come out and say, they told me I scored this? and it wasn't 18.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
I just think it's so ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And then when you think back just a few years ago, Justin Fields, I mean, something along the same lines kind of happened right before the draft, didn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Joe Burrow, small hands right before the draft. Like, it's just like they want to find.
Well,
and I guess that's the product of being on top for a couple of years, you know, being one of the best. They want to nitpick and find every little thing they can. But, I mean, this almost feels
so
personal against
here's
Big
the
Ten
thing,
quarterbacks.
because I think they had something in there with Will Levis. Did they have his score in there? I think they said
They said all the top.
They had Anthony Richardson was somewhere like this. I'm like, if this guy's a fast processor, I've watched him make some really bad decisions.
Well, yeah.
Like,
but he can do a backflip, Bobby. He's really athletic.
He is okay. So he at least has
completes 50% of his passes, but he's really athletic.
I know Will Levis. I've watched him make some terrible decisions and not be able to get through reads quickly. Mm-hmm. And so if you're telling me that he has this ability to process, I'm watching the film like, dude, the coverage is right there. You can see it. I know you can throw the football far because they showed me a video now 18 times of you on a knee hitting a crossbar from 50. You know who else did that?
Marcus Russell from like 70 yards, though.
Yeah, why not? It's good. So if you're ever in a 3rd and 72,
you can take a knee and just throw it down there. You're good, man.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to run this play in college because then your knee touches the ground. In the NFL, just drop on
look at this guy.
So that's
really
like
throw teams for a loop.
all that crap. So it's like, okay, well, he did this, but then you watch the film and it doesn't really add up. I think that's what he was saying. The guy who created this is, if everything else is equal, maybe then you can pull this in as that. Not saying, hey, this undoes some of the things I'm watching on tape.
Yeah, you saw this guy be a 2-time Heisman Trophy finalist, but he did really bad on this test, so I wouldn't look at him as a football player. It's silly.
It seemed to me, Bill, that over 2 years we saw and heard CJ describe and operate offense at a pretty high level. He seems to be able to process that information pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't the two don't match up, right? Like whatever his score was, I don't particularly care. Part of me thinks that this is a little bit of BS, and I don't know if teams are trying to knock him down so they can draft him at 8 instead of drafting him at 2, but like, in my opinion, the thing that separates CJ from all these guys is the way that he sees the field and processes things, understands like spatial awareness. Like that is his elite trait. So now, because he had this test score, I'm supposed to believe he's dumb now.
But that test score is supposed to correlate to that. Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like,
it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, and he's hard to coach, right? Isn't that another one that they put out? Like he questions your coaching or something like that?
At least we put to bed from what was Justin, I forgot, is he ran a simple offense and like wasn't able to process.
Oh, and he had so much talent around him where
he was the last guy into the facility and the first to leave. Not one who would be fighting to play football or be
even outside of that,
entire social life.
Taking shots at the offense, then you're taking shots like Ryan Day's a casualty of that one. He just got hit by a stray.
No.
So, like all those things that you brought up, it's like, what? I know that we're trying to punch holes in everything. The interesting thing to me is you mentioned our team's trying to say this because it's like, the elementary school or like middle school, I like a girl syndrome where I'm going to make fun of her to garner her attention, and like hopefully they fall down the draft. I'm actually talking trash because I want to take this guy and I'm using people as a vehicle to kind of punch holes in him publicly. Yeah. Or one of the other potential things of this is if you're a team who you're going to take another player at that position where your fan base is going to probably highly question why you chose player B over player A, you're going to use this as a punching bag on player A and building up player B. If the Colts take Will Levis, and I hope Will Levis is great. If the Colts take Will Levis at 4 over C.J. Stroud and he is available, I will not only be stunned. You know what? Jim Irsay is a wild man.
He sure is.
He's a wild man.
He is a wild man.
More ways than one, yeah.
And there would be another test that I'd be administering in the Colts, and it would be to Jim Irsay. It involve urine in a cup.
He rarely passes them, based on what I've seen.
He likes to party.
I think there's another option, Bob, which is that the Panthers are doing this, and I still think they're going to take C.J. Stroud number 1, but they gave up so many assets. They didn't just want to come out and like go sign C.J. beforehand.
We're not allowed. The NFL don't like that because they want suspense.
Yeah, they want suspense.
Are you sure that Roger Goodell, this isn't actually this isn't the Hunger Games, and he's actually like the game maker, and he's like, hey, we're going to jockey these guys around back and forth just so that everybody I mean, it might be the greatest ruse ever of heading in that they slowly leak out, not even real stuff, just so everybody talks about it.
Yeah, I never heard of this S2 thing before now, and it's like, oh, the S2 cognitive test, he's 18%.
Big deal, yeah. Let's get these guys a marketing deal. Just like we'd never heard of Noble or whatever it was that sponsored the combine while we were there. I think that it's possible that the Panthers just want people to think that they're not going to take CJ, so that, you know, if the Texans really want Bryce Young, that they may like, all right, we got to make a move here and move back up, and then the Panthers can recoup some of the insane amount that they gave up. Because I don't believe that they could have made the trade up to number 1 and not known who they wanted.
100%.
And then as soon as they did it, the betting odds for CJ went like to minus 800. He's going to be the number 1 pick. I just don't believe that they've changed their tune.
Will Levis is now odds on to beat him to go to Indy over him. That's what I'm saying.
Is that really?
Yes.
That's because CJ's going number 1.
I mean, they're saying 5 quarterbacks have a chance to go in the first round.
Yeah,
which seems
sneak in there.
You think he is?
Yeah. I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah, well,
teams love.
I'm going to tell you this: I would take Hendon Hooker over
Will Levis.
Will Levis.
Oh, I would for
sure. I would take Hendon Hooker over Anthony Richardson.
Yep.
Depending on what you want to do with him. And listen, I'm not saying Anthony Richardson couldn't be a great quarterback, but I've watched Hendon Hooker play quarterback and throw some
at a high level, right?
Yes, and I watched Anthony Richardson play the same players, the same team, same teams in the same conference. It's supposed to be great and look terrible a lot of times. And he made some great plays with his legs and did some unbelievable stuff. But right now we're sitting there, they've got Lamar Jackson look like a piece of Swiss cheese because they don't like the way that he does it. So it's like, which is it? You can't tell me it's both.
Too bad he's only won the MVP award.
Exactly.
No proven production. What are the Birds going to do, Bill?
What are the Birds going to do? I mean, I would love them to draft like Parrish Johnson, but I just don't know if that's necessary for them with the way their offensive line is set up at the moment. I don't know what to believe and what not.
I was on a Pittsburgh deal on Thursday or Friday, talking to them about hyping. It was Friday, hyping up Paris and Dewan to go there.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. I saw something.
How are they going to get Paris?
I think it was more they're talking about trading up.
Trading up, yeah. I saw something that said the Eagles really like Jackson Smith and Jigba. I don't know how that would work.
Where did they put him?
Yeah, right. I don't know. But
you can like him all they want. I mean, that may be real.
It's like the Ohio State receiver room.
There are teams like, hey, we really love this guy, and if we needed that guy, we would take that guy. But he's not going to be there when we're available. And by the way, we have
guys under contract.
3 or 4 guys that we're paying a lot of money right now.
Yeah, I don't know. And they play a lot of 12 personnel too, so I don't know how he coexists with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, but I'd love to watch it. Sign me up for it. I don't know.
They got King Henry coming over there, don't they?
Apparently, I don't know.
That's a rumor,
according to the guy from American Ninja Warrior. Yeah,
that's where I go for all of my.
Who leaked that? Was that
Akbar Gabaja?
Listen, Akbar's.
We don't even know if it's a real American Ninja Warrior account. It could be anybody.
That's true. It's not verified anymore.
Somebody decided.
Akbar's
that's true.
He's a really good dude, though.
Lost his blue check.
I enjoy Akbar.
Yeah.
He puts some good stuff out on social media.
If it really is him.
His son,
was
his daughter? Son. One of his kids took a visit here to run track. Actually took him around South Campus and everything. Really good dude. I mean, the highlight of me being a dad was him introducing him to my kids. And he laughed. And he goes, of all the football players you know, I'm like, believe me, they love Ninja Warrior. They could give a crap about Uncle Age and Tony Romo and all this. You're Ninja Warrior? Boom, you're the man. So he brought him over at the end. And it was hero dad time.
Perfect. Who Bill, is someone who's not being talked about enough for Ohio State in this draft class?
I think Zach Harrison's really interesting. I wish he would have done more of the testing, so we just had those comparables on hand. But I use the comparison of Trayvon Walker last year, and I'm not saying they're the exact same player, but if you looked at Trayvon Walker's stats, you'd be like, why did that guy go for number 1 overall? It's because people fell in love with his traits. I think the same thing can happen with Zach, not on the same level, but if you think Zach didn't have near the production of a first rounder or even, frankly, a second rounder, I think he could still end up being a top 45-ish, 50 kind of player just because guys aren't walking around as big and as long and as athletic as he is. So I'm really curious to see where he lands. I think still day 2, but I think early day 2 potentially.
One of the things that's interesting about him is you mentioned his traits. Everybody will fall in love with those. And I like momentum for guys, and I watched him be a lot more productive his senior year than he was previously. So
I think you saw the progression of him as he got older, because he was this tall kid, lanky sprinter as coming into college. And I think as they continued to put weight on him, work with him, I mean, you saw progression every year, it felt like. The NFL is going to look and be like, man, he's 2 years away from being at the top of his level. You know, that might be something they look at and say, we want to go up and grab him.
And this is my argument for guys who are elite athletes who maybe need to become better at their position and craft of football, a la Anthony Richardson, who's going to go high. Like, why wouldn't you come back, put together a great year and do that? And Zach Harrison, we talked about him leaving, like, you know, he just didn't have the production. He has elite traits. People are going to love him. But this year, like, there was more production. He made some big plays in critical games. Yeah, did he have 13 sacks? No. But in games, I watched him impact games in a way that he hadn't done previously in his career. So that, to me, shows, like, number one, the dude, and we know it here, but he's a really good human being. He's going to, and that, how does that translate? Well, that means you actually work at things that you're getting paid to do. You want to be good. You want to be good. Like, you have pride in what you do. Like, don't take for granted those attributes, folks, because that's not always the case. But also the fact that by working at him, there was levels of improvement, and he was getting better. So he's going to continue to work, and I think he'll continue to improve.
He's young, too. Like, I just looked it up. He's a 4-year college player. He doesn't turn 22 until August.
It's perfect. That's right in Berm's. That's right in Berm's wheelhouse. It's a minor for a long time.
As long as it takes. You know what else has elite traits, Bob?
Tell him about it.
Well, you know what I love is when you take a staple that needs to be eaten either on a stick or with some sort of silverware or something, fork, and you can eliminate all the nonsense.
Get rid of it.
And you can take it and put it in bite-sized form and eat it as a handheld.
Finger foods.
Finger food. What? Mac and cheese bites.
Mac and cheese finger food?
These are Schleg's favorite, Mr. Schlegelvelli. And they're going to be $3 all Tuesday long, this Tuesday, for Threes Day at Roosters. They come with this nice elite dipping sauce, too.
And the longer that Nicole is missing from the show, the more likely we are to get appetizer Threes Day just trending out there.
Exactly.
She can't stop me.
She can't stop it.
She's trying to thwart your attempts.
I don't think she is, but I don't think she loves the idea. You know, she likes to have control.
She likes to workshop things a little bit before she actually goes.
She's like, what did he say? Is there something wrong with Threes Day that we don't know about?
Yeah, can we get in trouble for that?
Is that wrong? Should I not have said that? We're doing it. It's appetizer Threes Day.
Get in Tuesday.
Until Nicole comes back.
Mac and cheese bites.
Mac and cheese bites. Don't miss it. We're going to take a quick break and eat some more mac and cheese bites. We're going to be right back.
Wait, does Bill turn to Berm?
That's right.
Bill turns into Berm.
I'm going to snap my fingers, and there's going to be a change over here when we come back into Roosters. It's a fun casual.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
All right, welcome back into Roosters. We're in the Horseshoe Lounge, and Berm, ask Berm. He's here. He's made it.
Ask Berm.
Ça va?
Ask him what? About his Sunday? Cincinnati?
ABQs. Ask Berm questions.
Cold. It was cold.
So you guys were outside?
Who were you hanging out with there? I saw that picture you posted.
8 hours or so outside there in Cincinnati at Winton Woods High School. But yeah, nice day for something, not for football.
What did they have going
not
on?
For football camp.
It's a nice day to stand outside and take pictures.
The Rivals Camp Series, so they go around the country with rivals in different cities, and it's a free camp for kids who are invited to that camp. They do have a combine on Saturday, so kids can get invited if they go to the combine and pay $40 to do your testing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
it's free if you're good enough.
That's right.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all. The picture you're talking about on Twitter was with BJ Payne.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Wow,
what's he play?
He's actually
a coach.
He's the head coach at Hilton Head Island.
He's down in
South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
But
he was up here for this?
His son, Cage, is an offensive lineman at King's High School in Cincinnati.
Oh,
and so he's
Kings Mill?
Yeah. So
his name is Cage Payne?
That's correct.
Cage Payne.
BJ was like, he's like, I don't want to say wrestler like WWE, but like when he came out of playing college, yeah, he's like that kind of guy, kind of.
I feel like he was trying to speak that into existence. Like, you're going to be a professional Cage Payne.
Yeah.
Now, WWE will probably have to change that because they want to trademark it and make all the money. But, like, just go somewhere else. If you're Cage Payne, you're just selling millions.
Well, that's why I saw the picture. I thought that was him. I'm like, where would you have been where
you get Cage Payne and Steel Chambers together for a tag team? I mean, you're really checking the boxes.
Tag team
Steel Cage. I mean,
Steel Cage.
It's too easy. Yeah,
it is.
It's just money, millions of dollars.
But it was a nice time. I get, and aside from the 40 degrees and
wind and rain,
whatever. But it's nice to just watch kids compete.
With any good kids there, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, there was a handful of players from around the country. It wasn't as well populated as you would have wanted, I think, because of the weather. It kind of held some kids off. Good group of young offensive linemen from around the region. Not, unfortunately, didn't get, like, the matchup that people wanted to see with, like, Luke Hamilton, Michigan's offensive line commit, Mark Nave, Ohio State, and, the Armstrong twins, and Ben Roebuck and those guys from St. Ed's didn't make it. So it was not as like star-powered as you'd like to see, but it's in some ways I think that's actually better because a lot of these regional camps that happen, whether it's Rivals or Under Armour or whatever, like they pretty much predetermine who the MVPs are going to be based on
plaques already made. You don't have my name on here?
I remember very specifically.
I just told you yesterday I was coming.
Back in 2014, we were doing a Nike when they had the opening camps. They actually had it on campus, at Ohio State, and we were able to host it there.
Are you not allowed to host them on colleges anymore? No. Of course. Why would you want to do that? Because those would be the best facilities to host them at.
Right. And coaches would always find a way to,
Why not make it easy though?
But so Damian Harris, the running back from Kentucky who went to Alabama, showed up with a broken foot, couldn't work out, and was still like
MVP.
He was still earned an invitation to the opening by just being there that day. So I think it's actually better for the kids.
It said must be present to win. Yeah. I think that actually said on the bottom.
Shoot, so I really want to go.
It is not ideal, I think, when you have a predetermined outcome in a lot of cases, and even that was the case seemingly on Sunday. I mean, Aaron Scott, the borderline 5-star cornerback from Springfield, was there and didn't have his best day that I've seen him have, and still won MVP. And they know it's really about promotion in a lot of ways, but it's promotion for the players and for the brands themselves.
So at those camps, are they just doing individual and then you go into one-on-one?
Yeah, there's no testing. There was no testing at all at Rivals, which is nice. I mean, it's not like the Under Armour camp, which will be on May 7th in Obetz at Fortress.
Obetz is nice down there. You ever been down there?
It is, but getting there isn't.
Well, getting there is not, yes.
It's a nice camp, but they do a lot more like testing that day, and I don't think that should be really necessary. The goal is to get kids out there and play football and see how they compete.
You need to find out how fast.
Are they going to do the S2 cognitive test?
I was thinking about the S2 cognitive test, and you can do the Wonderlic online, right? Like you can take a faux lick.
Well, by the way, you can also when Justin and I took the Wonderlic, it was a piece of paper and pencil.
Big you dog. Circled, A, B, C, D.
Little things here. I mean, you could go on.
And if you had a good agent, you probably saw that piece of paper before you went to take the test.
I mean, there's a number. Yeah, there's a number of like ones they cycle through questions, whatever.
Yeah. I have an NFL draft bold prediction.
Ooh, let's hear it.
If we're going to still talk about the NFL draft,
we can. Yeah,
well, I wanted to hear your bold prediction.
Harris Johnson will be the first Ohio State Buckeye taken on Thursday.
Oh my gosh! How many units did you put on that?
There's no units. I think someone is going to trade up. Harris Johnson is a once in a decade offensive tackle prospect. Someone is going to trade up into like the top 3 and draft Harris Johnson.
Top 3.
Wow.
So you're not predicting a slide for CJ as much as because I thought it was maybe a combo platter, little slide, little jump.
It could be however it gets there. However it gets there, I don't know. I just think the more you think about Paris Johnson, the more you realize how just rare it is to find a plug and play 10, 12, 15-year offensive tackle. He's 21 years old. Like I don't see how you pass him up if you have the opportunity or the draft capital to trade up.
I mean, he has a lot of
fine.
Why do you have to
CJ's
go all the way
still
to
going?
Everyone needs him. Every team in the league needs a left tackle.
I think the Niners are good with Trent Williams.
Not forever.
Yeah, not forever. But I mean, you just don't.
How old is Trent Williams? 50?
He's older. I played against him.
Yeah. So how old are you? 50?
He's getting up there.
I'll be 40 this year.
Hey.
So I'm just saying,
it's a 4-0 club.
The more I think about the draft, it's obvious that whatever is going on in the CJ Stroud,
I think you're wrong. I think CJ's still going to be the first.
You're wrong.
I hope so.
I mean, CJ's going to be the first Ohio State guy taken. He's got to be.
When Berman we'll be on the road doing some work for the NFL draft and hanging out with Cameron Brown later in the week. I wish I need to find some way. He's making a bold prediction. Like, it's out there. I can't just do a 1-for-1 straight up bet with him because he's out on a limb.
Yeah, you'd have to give him.
There's got to be some sort of way that we can tie in some beverages or something, because I don't see any way that this bold prediction is coming true.
I could, if you're telling me that somehow CJ starts sliding and slides out of the top 10, which I don't foresee.
Yes, but that is.
But him going all the way.
Justin went 11.
Well, that was.
I know, and believe me, there was a lot of questions being asked.
Oh, and there's a lot of teams that wish they would have taken him earlier.
And look at some of the guys that also went ahead. That's
I mean,
that Trey Lance decision for San Francisco.
So let's make it interesting. Yeah. I will give a total of $5 to each of you,
doll hairs
combined. You each receive $1, what, 70 or so, 75, and you each pay me $5 if I'm right.
It's a 3-1. I mean, you could probably get better odds than that.
I accept. Well, no book is going to have this specific wager out there.
That's true.
That's why
if Bill wants in, it's an even $1.25 to each of you and 20 back to me if I
will gladly make, what is that on now, 4-1? Yeah, I'm in.
I like it.
$1.25.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
How many units do I have to put on the? And I'm just kidding.
I think they could be close. That is very bold. Bold yet
That's
smooth.
bold. I mean, yes.
How long have you been cooking that one up?
I just thought of it when I was listening to you guys talk over there.
Who was somebody else that you were thinking about who might make a move up or not getting talked about enough for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday?
I mean, Bill's choice is correct, and Zach Harrison, but I also think Luke Whippler is going to be one of those. Luke Whippler is a football player, and you just know what you're going to get out of him. You know, you're going to get consistent play. He's going to be a grinder. He's going to be there every day. He's not going to be hurt. I don't know if he's making the right decision coming out early. To be honest.
He already made it, so
it is done. The draft is 2 days
now,
away.
That's irrelevant, as I was going to say, but he is going to be a good pro. And he might be the second center drafted. He might be the fourth center drafted. I don't know, but
I thought he was going to be the first center drafted.
He's definitely not going to be the first center drafted.
What will be interesting to see is when the first center goes off.
Well, when's that happen?
And I was talking to him the other day in the Woody, and he was like explaining this to some of the younger guys because they don't understand. It's like if I'm going to the grocery store and I need to buy milk, and there's 50 gallons of milk, I may go around and see if there's anything else that I need to get first. If I go by and there's only 5 gallons of milk, and the person pulls one out in front of me, you know what? I'm going to just mosey on over and get that gallon right now because I don't know if I can double back. And so
it's like a fantasy draft. It's like all of a sudden there's a run on kickers, and you're like, crap. You really drafted a kicker in the 7th round?
Yeah.
Why are we not waiting till the final round for this, you morons?
So
I don't think – what draft are you in where there's a run on kickers? Just because somebody else makes a stupid decision doesn't mean that you have to.
Who's he hanging out with?
I hang out with very suspect fantasy.
Well, you do live in Michigan.
You need to stay in that league because I hope you win it every single year.
I didn't participate last year for the first time in 20 years.
It was nice, wasn't it? To not have to watch? Yeah.
It was actually really enjoyable to not care.
I agree.
Conscientious
objector. It actually coincides with the first time I've cared about watching the Bengals specifically in 20 years. So
you have to root against your team.
Yeah, so it actually was nice. It's a nice alignment.
But you've been a fan all these years, right?
Yeah, but
so you just started rooting for them when they were good last year?
No, I just started to care about what happened because before the results were predetermined.
The problem is if you care about something that is just going to kill you, like
and hurts you all the time.
Yeah, like you're just signing up to basically stab yourself in the ribs.
It's like putting down the smokes.
Waking up every Sunday excited and just
nothing more I love than these cigarettes. Even though
and then Joe Burrow walks in, Joe Burrow walks in with a big old stogie and Burrow's like, you know what?
Yeah,
give me some of that tobacco.
Yeah, that's the NFL draft hot take that I've had to live down for the last couple of years. That I really, really wanted the Bengals to take Chase Young over Joe Burrow because I was afraid that they were going to get Joe seriously hurt, and I didn't want to see that happen to him. Which I was correct about.
Well, they did get him seriously hurt, but he did bounce back.
He did bounce back.
And they didn't ruin him like I was afraid they would.
Still time.
They tried again by ignoring the offensive line in the draft the following year. And then even then, Jamar Chase is like, well, doesn't matter.
So
I'm that good.
Yeah, he is.
I was very, very adamant that I wanted Chase to be the number 1 pick for the Bengals in that draft, and to the point where Jimmy Burrow still likes to poke me in the DMs.
I love
sometimes.
it. Gosh, that's great.
Nice.
Good. I love that his dad is trolling you.
Whenever I tweet something affirmative about Joseph, I sometimes get a little DM from his father saying, "Remember who you wanted to take first?"
I was just scared.
I told him. I said
I couldn't be hurt again.
It was for your son's best interest that I was doing this.
I didn't want him to get drafted there and ruin my fandom of him and ruin his career and turn into Achilles Smith.
I was going to root for him regardless. I just didn't want to see him on a stretcher all the time.
And Berm also didn't want to have to get back into smoking by watching the Bengals.
That's true. But then here I am.
It's your favorite mistake,
I actually signed up last week for YouTube TV's first entrance into the NFL
Sunday
ticket.
Oh, you've been having some major problems.
Yeah, because
last year it's Sunday. He's like, are the Bengals on where you are? Can you give me your Spectrum Wi-Fi? Can you give me all your passwords so that I can try and get in? And
because I live 1 mile over the border, and the entire.
I bet
Toledo, he does live in Michigan.
But I bet Toledo probably even draws. They don't.
Doesn't matter
get the
because
Browns
I have
probably,
YouTube
right?
TV, so I'm in the Detroit market. So I would always get the Lions and the NFC
Okay, so it's
approach.
not. So it's not because I was going to say even Toledo. I bet draws a lot of the Lions.
A lot of the Lions and Browns.
Yeah.
But the reality, by just being that mile in and having to pull from the Detroit market on YouTube TV, I was even when CBS would have 2 games, I'd only get 1 because whatever.
You should move out of that state.
I've been trying to tell people this.
I had some dark web stuff that you could have probably slithered into and got some of the games.
That's the only way to get to the dark web, by the way. You have to slither there.
Oh, 100%.
I think so, yes.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
So, CJ Stroud, let's what on earth?
You have some thoughts?
Maybe it's more of a Middle Earth question.
It has to be Middle Earth because it's a middle of the road thinking to say, well, everything this guy did on the field doesn't matter.
There was something I wanted to add to that conversation about the S2 cognitive test, and that is how ridiculous the NFL Combine is. And Berm, you and I were there. That was day 3 for Cam Brown. We're finding him at 7 at night. He's been doing meetings with teams. He's been going through medical testing. He's doing this, that. They have your time booked basically 20 hours a day. You don't sleep when you're there.
And then they have you do a brain test at 9 p.m.
This is what he was doing at night. And why am I saying it? Some people performed well on it. I don't know what time they had to do it. I don't know what Cam Brown scored on it. I know he walked out of it, and I said, what was that? The Wonderlic? He's like, no, it was this other, it was a psychological test. I have no idea what it was. Describing shapes and different pictures that he saw. I'm
it's like Armageddon when they were putting him through that.
It's no wonder that you don't test well on that in circumstances, even if you are quite smart or sharp or have great cognitive processing ability. If you have to take nothing but tests and get poked and prodded all day long, guess what? You might not do well at it. And we were frustrated about the number of guys that didn't do the physical testing at the Combine.
You understand why now?
I would be opting out of the mental stuff, especially if they're going to leak it and hurt you.
They're going to use it against you.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Find me the last NFL game that lasted 20 hours. Because I bet that your brain probably is a little bit slower.
That Bengals-Bills game was really
I didn't want to say it.
It's still not over.
Oh, gee.
Boy. Didn't want to say it.
Hey, we're allowed to joke about it now. He's fine.
He's back.
He's
good. I joked about, John Simon, I told Corey Lindstrom, when he goes back, at the beginning of the year, you have your insurance. They bring in the people from the PA and the insurance. They talk about your benefits and this and that. And I'm like, hey, what about if you legit die on the field? How's that go? Not the proverbial death. I'm talking.
Can I get my life insurance?
Yeah.
Can I get my life insurance?
What is my family? How does it? What are they getting out of
this? To cash that out.
How's my 30-year term looking? Do I get that now?
Literally dead. Yeah, but I think that that stuff has to stop. I understand that the NFL is a $1 billion enterprise and they are investing millions of dollars, but these tests and they're turning around and leaking information to what? Purposely damage CJ Stroud?
Well, the more you do this to these players, they're going to start opting out and saying, I'm not going to do this.
They shouldn't.
Yeah, realizing they have more power.
That's where I'm at now.
So here's the deal. Why don't they have them all? They take it and post the scores.
Yeah, make it public.
At least what you do in the combine. Hey, he didn't run.
Everyone sees it.
I can see it right there. It's on the bottom. Rich Eisen's running against it. He fell down about 20 yards behind him. Yeah. Just post it then. At least that eliminates the ability for certain people to leak it in and out.
Use it to their advantage.
And is it even real?
Mm-hmm.
And who were leaking out and different because it wasn't like they leaked out all the quarterbacks or all the stuff. Just selectively picking who they think is out there.
Only the top 5.
Is it obvious that the NFL is the most grimy professional sports league out there? The way that the NFL media and NFL management and ownership collude the way that they do. There's nothing like it in sports, is there? Am I just not?
Because they own their own networks, and their network's really popular. It's not like the other networks where like who's watching?
Nobody's watching it.
Other than Mark the Shark, no one watches MLB Network.
Does that still exist?
Yeah, it does. Russo's on there. It's atrocious. I mean, if you want to murder me, like make me commit, like take my own life, just put me. I don't want.
Chris Russo is essentially.
You know what he's best at? Talking college football.
He's akin to Bob Dylan. Like, how did that guy become a world famous singer?
Yeah,
with that voice.
Exactly. It's a great because he's got some catchy tunes.
Like
again, we're going to have to be careful with our words. Like Bob Dylan didn't become famous as a singer. He's a world famous songwriter.
Yeah.
Okay, but he sings.
So we have to be careful.
If he was writing
the way that we describe Kelly Clarkson, not
careful.
a musician.
I'm not really that concerned about Bob Dylan's feelings.
Definitely
here.
not.
What I'm saying is, if you listen to Christopher Russo for 5 minutes,
Christopher gets the full.
There are one of two thoughts that pop in your head, and neither of them are good. It's like what do you used to say about passing the ball? Right? There's three results. 2 of them are bad. So the only good option is that somehow you lose power.
You lose the signal. Lost signal.
And I'm sure the dude has insightful things to say. I'm sure he's good at his job. He's doing it a long time. But like, how? How does it got there?
I don't know how we got
the NFL Network.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
I don't know. He's obviously very good at his job. I just like, man, that voice is it. Do you think that's the way he talks in normal conversation, or is that an act?
Who would you rather listen to, him or Petros Papadakis?
You know who that is?
He's the guy who does the late night Fox games,
Pac-12 games,
USC.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, some Mountain West games. He did several Wyoming games.
That's why he's.
Well, he does like a lot of the Pac-12 after dark games, like almost every game at USC. And
what was his name?
Petros Papadakis.
I've watched. He's been on. Back to the NFL, though, when you talk about that.
This show is about the most casual.
It is. It's a fun casual.
That was a Vegas family vacation, wasn't that his name?
Papa Giorgio.
No, Papa Giorgio.
Papa Giorgio.
It's close, though.
But if you think about how, the NBA has a lot of it, too, but the NFL, it's content king all year, and they found a way to dominate it all. And so the ownership groups are very tight. They have found a way to I wouldn't say alienate, but separate themselves enough from the players to where there's a nice, healthy moat so they can disseminate all the information. They can control it, not like the NBA. People care a lot more than they do about Major League Baseball. They have their own network, and it's all concentrated, and stuff comes out so routinely and throughout the year. And then you have a couple of their insiders who selectively feed out information that people want them to. And so you're talking really like a mid-30s Germany type of state of what they're able to put out there and the narrative they're wanting to spin. Tell me what's different.
Or the United States in 2020,
so who does that make Roger Goodell?
2023, the United.
Where's that? You can call Roger. I told you he's the game maker and he's the straight up game maker in Hunger Games. Not all that different.
Where we are.
It's
not that much different.
What?
Are you risking your pension?
Not yet. They can still take it probably somehow
if they wanted to. Just wrap you up in legal.
You don't have an NDA that you're not allowed to besmirch the league once you leave, or
no, get out of here. That's not besmirching. That's what it is. The last
truth is the best defense.
So let's get brass tacks.
Let's do it.
Because people, I think a lot of people believe that is spelled TAX, but it's obviously not. It's TACKS, right? Brass tacks.
I didn't know that anybody thought that it was an actual.
I bet there are people that do.
It's a tax.
How many Ohio State?
The Boston
How many Ohio State players are drafted on Thursday night in round 1 of the NFL draft?
3. I think that's the favorite in the clubhouse.
It's got to be 3. Bill's got 3. That's going to be appetizer 3's day as well.
Unless you're talking Jackson sliding out, which I don't think happens. I think he's the first.
I'm thinking, is there any chance Dewan Jones, despite the fact that he had what seems to be a relatively quiet last 2 months after the NFL Combine, didn't do a lot of extra workouts, didn't do any workouts at Ohio State.
He needs to get some extra workouts.
Didn't do any workouts at the Combine. He just had the Senior Bowl where he impressed people and then
came out,
shut her down.
He had
and
one
said,
good practice, and then the next day he walked out with a purse on.
A man
bag?
It was a man bag.
Well,
sorry. I love Dewan.
It's fine, but
I don't think people will take him in the first round.
The problem with Dewan is he's a huge dude, and I know he's somewhere else. Like Whippler and Paris have been working out together. Like it's good. All the stuff's done. Guys come back and they work out for teams here, but work out together and kind of keep yourself accountable. We're going to show up at this time every day and make sure that we're doing the things we need to do to stay in shape. And Dwan, who's a large human being just by birth,
can easily lose shape. That's the problem with him, I think.
Yes,
like can gain more shape.
He is a mass. He has a gravitational pull, the ability to kind of pull mass into his body, and I worry about him being plus four bills and going to some of these different workouts and different things because he's a huge human that can gain it quickly. And that raises red flags for teams. We're like, hey, we like you, but
we're gonna have to make sure he stays under weight. We're gonna have to put this in his contract.
He had to work really hard to get down to 360. I think it was like 364 was the goal last year.
So big.
And he did. He gave up a lot of other things and worked really hard to do that. But like just because of what you're talking about, Bob, he is an incredibly rare species, and it's easy for him to put on that weight. Just like I don't know.
When it's harder to get yourself to go work out and do what you have to do, like Bob's talking about. You know, if he's on his own, I mean, it's easier to say, I'm sleeping in.
Do you think it's going to be over?
I'm ordering DoorDash.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I think 3's the number. I just think with Dwan, there's so much potential there. If he's all bought in, and I don't know that this offseason has shown that from what,
or at least a draft process.
I don't know if he can play left.
Yeah,
in the NFL. Like he could be a really dominant right tackle, which I think is great. But I don't know if anybody's going to give up go draft him in the first round for a right tackle at that point.
So, okay, next thing. What team is most likely to trade up for C.J. Stroud because the Texans reportedly don't love him at 2?
I think he's going to the Panthers. I don't believe any of this.
I don't know. Gosh, you look around.
Bryce. That would be such a massive mistake for anyone to take him number 1. He is not going to be a good NFL quarterback. The historical precedent tells you that nobody his size is going to last or succeed in the NFL. Now, maybe he'll prove me wrong, and I'll be the first to admit it if he does. But taking him 1 would be franchise management malpractice.
Malpractice.
FMM.
FMM.
The thing is, I think a lot of the teams that need him.
There's a couple though in the top 7.
There are maybe Detroit. You could say
Seattle.
They just paid Geno though, so they got him for another couple of years.
Saying,
Seattle, the Raiders, Tennessee. There's a lot of teams that are in
the maybe the Lions.
The Ravens are going to need a quarterback.
If you're Seattle and you're Detroit, I think if he falls to you, I think there's a chance that they take him. Trading up is where I don't know if that happens, given that they have a functional asset there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Lions do, but
most everybody in this
list.
You
can't say that.
Except for the Colts.
You have the Raiders now with Jimmy Garoppolo as their stopgap.
Yeah.
You have the Seahawks with Geno Smith as a stopgap.
That's what I'm saying. I think
it's not a stopgap if you're paying him that amount of money.
Well, it's a 3-year thing. It's an opportunity to
the Falcons are moving on to
Desmond Ridder is there,
right?
But I don't know if they're in love with him.
Yeah, fair.
So I'm saying if he falls there,
but are you going to go back-to-back quarterbacks?
Because they took Ridder in the.
Yeah, I guess he would have been later on.
Late second or third. Yeah, he was late second,
fair
third.
Enough.
So I could see them doing that. It's just a function of, do I want to have to give up a second-round pick or something pretty high to go up and get a guy? When those teams, you look at them, a lot of them still need roster help elsewhere.
For a player that everyone assumed until last night
for the S2
was going to be the number 1 overall pick, is he not worth giving up a number 2 pick for?
If you think that here's the thing,
a lot of these teams have multiple first-round picks. So that's also, like the Dolphins.
Comes into play, yeah.
I mean, the
Lions have a couple.
The Texans have, 2 and 12. I mean, there's an opportunity to get CJ and Jackson Smith and Jigba if you're the Texans. Is that not something that you...
Why would they not go quarterback?
I don't know.
I think Schefter's putting that out just
I think there's
run
some
cover on something.
Issue with the agent who
I did hear
Deshaun Watson's agent and the Texans. I don't think that
that's CJ's agent then too.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
They try to put massages.
They're trying to put baby in the corner. Yeah,
were they trying to make CJ start getting massages? Yeah, if he comes.
Maybe he said he wanted the same clause in where it's a full NDA clause.
I think there's just a little bitterness between the sides.
Whatever could you mean by that?
Just saying. But if you could get CJ,
the fact that he was there for a whole year and didn't play and they paid him.
If you're the Texans and you have the second pick and you're not in love with CJ, why would you not drop back to 5, keep 5 and 12 and still?
Yeah, but are you holding CJ's agent against CJ? I mean, he's still a great player, right? I mean, I know that works.
That's franchise management malpractice. If you're going to
you're going to pass on a great player
based
for
on
David Mills based on an agent that you know and you dealt with. It didn't turn out great. It's an ex-girlfriend. When you see her in public, you got to be nice to her.
Yeah, but you don't want to go date her again. That's the problem.
No, well,
agents have a lot
fair, I
of
guess.
sway,
Yeah.
a lot more sway than they ever should.
I don't think they're worried about it now. I think they would be worried about it
3 years.
In 3 years, should he play well, and then it's barrel time.
Yeah. All right, so what's your answer then?
Who's going to trade up for him? I think the Raiders are going to be the team to trade up for him. We've heard and seen. Josh McDaniels has been very smitten with CJ, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it's the Seahawks because Pete Carroll seems to love the guy, and there's something there.
Where are they going? You're saying they're going up to 2.
I think they could go anywhere. If the Texans are not going to draft a quarterback, which who knows if that's just smoke or
they're going to want to. They're going to be looking.
Then
to get
you
down.
can move up to 3 or 4 because it's someone's.
I think that's the most amusing part of this whole conversation is that literally every team that has evaluated C.J. Stroud knows how good he is and raves about his ability to process offenses and defenses and his interviewing well and the way that he carries himself. He's a franchise like the whole thing everybody was talking about in Indianapolis, which felt like it was 7 years ago now. It's like, this is the surest bet of anybody in the NFL drafted quarterback. You have maybe more upside athletically with Anthony Richardson. You may really like the Josh Allen type qualities of Will Levis, or you're enamored with what Bryce was able to do at Alabama and you think that he can duplicate that and has enough mobility to not die at the NFL level. But fine. Everybody would say that the highest floor is CJ Stroud. That's what they were talking about. Now suddenly it's like, no, 18th percent.
So bottom line, where does CJ get drafted?
I think number 1 at Carolina.
We going pick or place?
Is he going number 1?
I don't think so. I did for a long time, but I don't anymore. I think it was the Indy.
Austin is clearly on board.
Indy at 4?
Austin's on board thinking that CJ is still number 1. I think he's
one.
going 3 or 4.
I think we've heard all that Bryce talk just because that's the NFL draft.
But I'm going to say 4 because Paris is being drafted 3rd by someone. Someone will trade with Arizona to move up to 3 to take Paris Jones.
Who's going number 1?
Bryce Young. I'm still hoping it's Anthony Richardson because I got that.
That
futures
would
bet,
be beautiful.
That would be one of the most.
Wouldn't that be wild?
I put a unit. I put 1 unit on it months ago, and if I can win a crisp, clean $100 bill for it, I'll be thrilled to do so.
You got 100 to 1 on it?
Yeah.
Holy cow!
Jeez, that's a beautiful payday.
You only put $1 on it?
Yeah, that's all I ever do.
And the guy can do backflips.
That's all I ever
runs down the field.
I would love to see that, and like I said, I hope he turns out to be a good player. But I feel like that could be a monumental train wreck.
Well, that would be more fun.
But would it be as casual?
No, it might not be. Never. Not for Carolina. Impossible. But I don't really have any feelings about that anyway. I'd love to just see pure chaos erupt in Charlotte and that stadium crumble to the ground.
Wow.
Jeez.
Who cares?
A lot of hate in your heart.
I mean,
this guy
for
hates
Carolina.
Panthers. Yeesh. Call PETA.
We got some Buckeyes down there, don't we? Is Curtis Samuel not there?
No, he's in Washington now.
Oh, that's right.
He's a commander.
Isn't Saunders still down there?
Oh, CJ. Yeah, I believe he is.
And I hope he gets out of the stadium alive because he's one of my favorites.
All-time favorite?
Think about that dude, though. I mean,
he's a top 10. He's a top 10.
Making it in the league. I mean, that's awesome.
Don't make me put him in order, Bob. I can't do that. That's like naming your favorite child. You're not going to do that on the show.
I just listened this morning to
Bob might.
it depends on the day. I just listened this morning to Joe Thomas rattle off all 20 quarterbacks he blocked for starting quarterbacks over 10 years. So
I can put things in order. Number 1, mac and cheese bites.
Three's day.
Top of the Roosters appetizer list. Mac and cheese bites.
It is your favorite.
It's primo.
Put the hot sauce on them.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow,
it's hard to argue.
On Appetizer 3's Day, it'll be $3. Come get it. And then Thursday night, no better place to come watch the NFL draft than your local Roosters establishment. I'm sure there's going to be some great deals. I don't know what they are. Craft beer of the month is Elvis juice. So
my favorite pastime is drinking during the draft and then struggling to remember the last 10 picks by the end of Thursday night.
Having to review it in the morning before you go on the radio.
Write them down.
Do you make like
they have an internet.
Do you have a drinking game for
have
it?
An internet
every time Mel Kiper,
every time, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
so if there's a lot of
when the
trades,
picks come in,
there's a lot of trades. Nope, because that's for trade too. Trade alert. The one year there was like 5 trades. That was a rough
You have
situation.
to chug beer for as long as Roger holds on to these dudes every time he hugs them.
Before we go,
I love that. We should have made our own.
It's crazy. We're talking about the NFL draft. Take us back to that day when you got drafted in that situation, round 1. Like how crazy was it to get that call?
He was playing a drinking game.
He didn't remember getting the call the next day.
I mean, we were watching it on my parents' tube TV in their living room. There was probably 150 people there, 200 people there. And so when the picks would come in, it started getting quiet, especially like around – I think the Browns were the first team they were the first team on the board. They've taken Cameron Wembley.
Wonderful tennis.
12. No, is that right?
It doesn't sound like the Browns having a pick at 12.
No, they
right.
took that Cameron.
I'll tell you that
what the heck was his name? Defensive end from Florida State. Oh gosh, it's something like that.
It was like Wembley or something like that. Yeah.
So anyway, but like at that start, you get a little nervous. There was like, I forget what pick that was, like 12, and then there's 15, 16 or something. And I'm going to Dallas at 18. So like kind of right in the middle there, just after the first half. But you get a little nervous, and the phone rings, and I walk outside, and everybody's like sitting there staring at you like you're in a fishbowl. But it was pretty cool because like you don't even get it. I'm watching it through the window on the television as I'm talking to Jerry and Bill. So I mean, it was a pretty cool experience, but it's not like you got a chance to see it yourself. I don't think I made it back in time, or if I did, everybody was just yelling. I didn't get a chance to hear and see everything that went on. And then that was great because then I got to relax. And Dallas wasn't somebody that flew people out, so they're like, "Yeah, you'll be out in minicamp in 2 weeks." All right, so we just kept
Didn't have
watching.
you out for the introductory interviews?
No, Bill didn't like to do that. Jerry wanted to, but I was like, "All right, perfect." And so we just kept drinking, having a good time, watching everyone else get drafted.
You have to do a conference.
There's a lot of people that in the first round from your buddies.
It was. Well, we did the first 3. It was a Saturday. It wasn't Thursday night. And so then Schleg's went like one of the last picks in the 3rd round. I remember my dad's like, we were outside playing cornhole, and it was like almost dark. The draft was like 9 hours. That's why they changed it. When you would have a trade, they'd give them a full 15 more minutes.
It'd be like the real deal.
It's insanity.
And then the Vikings still wouldn't make picks.
Yeah, they missed the pick. I don't know if it was that year or the year after. The Greenway went ahead of me at 17. I went 18. I got drafted at like 326 or something, and I was the 18th pick. It started at noon.
Yeah.
I mean,
it used to go on.
It started at noon. So yeah, there was one of my neighbors that walked through our screen door.
Sounds like there's a lot more that we can get into with the Bobby Carpenter draft party. That'll be a different show. That'll be
next week.
Subscriber only. But we'll talk about where those Buckeyes went and maybe get back to the current roster at some point, which we completely ignored today. But we've got a long off season to go, and we will space that out as we go through on the live show in here in the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. Appreciate Bill Landis, Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, Berm joining us. Hope you all have a great week. We will see you next week in here at Roosters. Bye-bye.